Hey folks, welcome to Tween Tuesday. I'm Miss Cindy from the South Brunswick Public Library. Today I'm going to show you a really easy tutorial that's going to teach you how to take an old t-shirt and make it into something brand new, which is a brand new tote bag. So check it out. Okay, let's get started on our bag. The two things that you will need are scissors and an old t-shirt. The first thing you're going to do is going to lay out your shirt the way that you need it, and you're going to take your scissors and cut the arms off. So it doesn't matter if you're using a short sleeve t-shirt, a long sleeve t-shirt, or even a tank top. If you're using a tank top, then you can just skip this step. Everything else, you just cut off the sleeves anyway, so it doesn't matter what length it was to start with. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do here is pretty close to the seam, I'd say. This line right here is where we're going to cut the sleeves. So we're going to cut. It doesn't have to be super exact, but you do want it to look nice and even, so take your time. Alright, that's one. And we're going to do the same thing to the other side. Okay. Now we just move these out of the way. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to cut the neck hole. Now the neck hole is going to be the top part of the bag that you use to put your stuff in. And you don't want to cut it too much because then that will make this part here very, very thin. And these are going to be the straps. So you want them to be a little bit thicker so they're nice and strong. So I'm going to just flip this. Alright. And I'd say probably here is good. This leaves me a nice amount of strap. I'm going to do the same here. Okay. I'm just going to cut until the two meet. I have a design right here, so I want to make sure to cut around that. I want to keep it. Let's turn it, make it a little easier. Alright, top part is done. Now you have these nice thick straps that you can hold the bag with. So this next part is optional depending on what you want your bag to look like. There are two options that you can have, and I'm going to put them both in the video so you can see what they look like. The first one is this one right here. You see how the fringe is kind of out and hanging out of the bag? That is what happens when you don't turn the shirt inside out before you do this next step. Now, look at this one though, instead. You see how it looks on the inside, kind of like it's sewn up and there's no fringe on the outside or anything? That is what it looks like if you have flipped the shirt inside out before this next step. I'm going to flip it inside out. The instructions are pretty much going to be the exact same. Again, the only difference is whether you flip it inside out or not. Again, if you want this kind of bag without the fringe, you flip it inside out. If you want this kind of bag with the fringe, you don't flip it inside out. Now what we want to do is lay the shirt down so that these seams on the side, these lines here, are nice and even. You don't want them to look crooked or anything. Okay. This can go out of the way. And you want the front or the top and bottom is what I'm going to be calling these. You want the top and bottom to be even as well. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our scissor and turn the shirt a little bit, and just on the side, right where it meets the table that you're working on, that's where we're going to cut first. Now, depending on how big you want your fringe to be or how short you want your bag to be, that is how long you're going to cut these strips. I want to keep most of my bag. I want my bag to be nice and big and not too short. So I'm going to cut the strips off kind of short, probably at about here. I don't want the strips to be too long because that will shorten the length of the bag. And now we just keep doing that. You're going to make sure you're taking both the top and the bottom and cut them to the length that you want. Take your time with this step. You want all the strips to be roughly around the same width. I'd say probably maybe about an inch is good. Consider the length between your thumbnail and the joint. For me, that's about an inch. It might be a little different, but you can use that as a kind of guide if you don't think that you can measure all the way across. You can also use a ruler and measure it that way. For this last one, we're going to do the same thing we did the first time, which is to go over to the side and just cut roughly along the seam. Okay. So now, carefully and slowly, because it is very easy to lose track of these, you're going to take the top and the bottom strips. Make sure they're matching up. So first with first, second with second, etc. And you're going to knot them together. I like to do a double knot, so that's one knot, and that is two. Make sure it's nice and tight. That is it. You're going to keep doing that throughout the whole rest of the shirt. Now, it's really easy to get mixed up after you've done it for a while, so like I said before, take your time, make sure you're going slowly, make sure you're matching up with what they go with. It becomes a lot harder later when you're about halfway through to realize that you're doing this top one, which is, let's say, number 10, with this bottom one, which is number 9, and you have an uneven tying. So now, we're just going to do this. As you tie it, the bag will naturally want to kind of close up at the bottom. So like I said before, this is inside out. If it were right side out, you'd see all this fringe would come out the bottom and it would be part of the decoration. I don't want that though for this one. So I'm going to flip it back. And the seam is all at the bottom. You see how it looks kind of braided? It doesn't look knotted or anything. But you can still see the knots if you were to just open it. They're still just right at the bottom here. That is done. That is how you turn an old t-shirt into a tote bag. Cool. Easy, right? I told you you could do it. So now I have my brand new bag and I'm really excited to carry stuff in it. Probably either groceries or gardening supplies when I go outside to garden. There is tons and tons of use that you can get out of this. So, until I see you guys on next Tween Tuesday, Happy crafting. Bye.